Okay, sorry about that. My battery died, so I had to swap out batteries. But if you look at your original zipper, you're going to measure, okay? You're going to use that as a guide, because that's where your zipper wants to sit. When you get your new zipper, when you're lining it up in your suit, it's really tough to tell how close you should put it to the teeth. You know, you want to put it out here. That's way too much, because the reason for that is it's not going to fit properly in the suit. Okay, if you sew it out here, you're going to run into some serious bunching up at the end. You're going to get stuff like that. Okay, and that's something that you don't want. You don't want gaps that huge. Obviously, it wants to be completely flush. So measure your old zipper and see what they were using as a gauge. You're going to measure the distance from the teeth here to where they stitched. Okay, that distance, I'm just going to guess, I'm not going to measure this one, but that's about a ½ inch. All right, and it's going to be about a ½ inch on the other side. So what you're going to do is, what I did is I took that measurement and I marked on my new zipper all down the zipper. You measure ½ inch, ½ inch, ½ inch, all down the way. So once you've measured that entire thing, and you can, again, get a marking pencil and just draw on this. So once you've drawn on it, you're going to take your suit and you're going to try to lay it flat on the ground. And I'm doing this for the camera, so like I said, I'm just telling you what to do, and this should at least help get you pointed in the right direction. You're going to use your marks, and I'm just going to mark this right now just to pretend that we've measured it. You're going to use that mark, and there it is. Okay, so we're lined up, and then you're going to take a clamp. Now, whatever clamp you want to use, if you want to try to, like I said, I went through so many different clamps. This clamp isn't going to reach, and I used about 20 of these clamps to hold the zipper in. Once you've clamped that down, and if you want to use a larger clamp so it absolutely doesn't move, that's cool too. You know, you can use the big clamp. That's not going anywhere. I mean, this is used for like woodworking, but it's not easy to use when you get it to your sewing machine. And that brings us to another tool that's going to be used for this. I used a sewing machine to sew my zipper back in, and it was a bitch. Let me tell you, it was a nightmare because nothing was lining up. I had to sew it, you know, I would take the stitches out. It was not good because I'm not a skilled sewer, but at the same time, I'm sure it would have been difficult for even a skilled individual. This is called the Speedy Stitch, and it's basically it's an awl, AWL. And what you do is you jam it through, and on the other side you're going to have to string it. You can go to the Speedy Stitch website to see how to use this thing, but it's very laborious, very time consuming, and I mean it took me a long time. I did areas that were very, very tough to reach, and the easy areas are the straight and long shots going down the length of the zipper. The very difficult parts are in here at the top, at the end, the beginning and the end of the zipper, because it's so tough to get your sewing machine in there. And I got to the point where I said there's no way I'm going to be able to get my sewing machine in here to re-sew this zipper in. So I used the hand awl for that, and it still took a long, long time. And but it worked. You know, eventually it worked. So that's the big portion of your labor right there, is going to be the sewing it back in. And again, I've even heard of people just using the adhesive, just using the Aqua Seal to hold this in. And what you would basically do in that is that if you didn't want to sew this in, and I haven't tried this so I can't stand behind it, but what you would do is you'd mark your zipper, and then you'd Aqua Seal your zipper, and then you'd fit it in. And to prevent the Aqua Seal that you've put on there from adhering to places that you didn't want to adhere, so in other words, if you Aqua Sealed this entire zipper, you'd put this on over the Aqua Seal, and as you're getting the zipper lined up, you'd peel this back and line it up accordingly. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. But I chose to sew it in. So I sewed it first, and then what you do is you flip the suit inside out, and I'm going to move this suit. Actually, I won't move it, I'll just put my other one on top. And this is basically the finished product, and I'm not entirely proud of this sewing job and the re-seaming on it, but it's my first one, and the one thing that it gives you is it saves you money, but it also gives you freedom. And I mentioned that before. I kind of, in a long roundabout way, never got back to it, but if you're able to sew your own zipper in, then you might only be down for a couple days, maybe a day or two, while you're replacing or repairing your zipper, as opposed to a couple weeks or even a couple months in some cases if the shop that you usually use is not able to get that suit back to you. So my zipper repair basically cost me probably about between $150 and $200. I think the zipper was about $130, and all the chemicals and materials that I had to get in addition to that, they were a little bit more expensive than $50, but I can continue to use these chemicals. That, you know, the big Aquaseal, the big Cotal. I'm going to use this many times. Well, this is a little Cotal, but the big Cotal will last me a lifetime. So here's the new finished product. Yeah, it is amateur hour at my house, so I knocked the camera over. This is the new zipper, yay! And so it's been sewn on the outside, and you'll see some little thread sticking out, and that's from the old zipper that I forgot to pull out. But that's the new zipper, nice and shiny, and hopefully will last another year. What I've done is, it looks a little bit better now that it's coated with Aquaseal, but it looked like absolute garbage when I got this sewn in here. I mean, I was very concerned and not happy with it. It didn't look nice. It was, you know, it's functional, but this is the suit turned inside out, and you can see I've taken the valve out on this. The other thing is you take all your seals out, your wrist and your neck seals, so they don't get damaged. And after I got this zipper sewn in, and I still have a few little areas I need to trim, you know, a few threads sticking up, but you take a paintbrush and you just literally brush that Aquaseal along the seam. Make sure that you get the areas that you've stitched. That's very important, otherwise those will leak. And you don't get it on the teeth because that will screw up your zipper. And you just go down the seam and paint that Aquaseal on. And once the Aquaseal has dried, it's strong. It adds strength to that that junction, and that's in a nutshell. That is pretty much it. It sounds easy. It is not. Lining this up was very difficult. Sewing it in was close to impossible. A lot of swearing. It took me a long time because I did it a little bit at a time. But the zipper's back in, and like I said, it saves money, but it gives you independence. You don't have to wait for a dive shop to get your suit back in a month, you know, and that happens to me all the time. Your suit breaks at the wrong time, or your zipper goes at the wrong time, and it's forever for you to get that suit back. So now once that, the reason the suit is inside out, not only for this video, but this is still a little tacky. So I'm going to give it a little bit, probably another day to dry. It usually takes 24 hours is fine. This has only been on for a few hours. Once you're done or the drying is done, you turn the suit right side out again. You reinstall your valves. You put your valves back in. You're going to have to reseal those with silicone sealant just to make sure that those don't leak. You're going to put your zip seals back in. You know, those just boom go right back in. And then you're going to go to a pool and pressure test it. You're going to test it out. And you'll know very quickly, especially if it's cold water, you're going to know very quickly if there are any leaks. If you've done it properly, it should not leak. The zipper should not leak. What I find a lot is that after I fixed one leak, I find another leak because it's a little bit smaller than the other. So all your attention was on the big leak, and you didn't notice that there was a leak in your foot or a leak, you know, on your back or something like that. You were focusing on a different leak. And The front entry zippers are a little bit more difficult. Like, I'm looking forward to this is again, this is a commercial suit. This is a rear entry or shoulder zipper, and these are a lot easier to do. Well, this is a vulcanized rubber suit, so that what I just showed you kind of doesn't apply to the suit, because the way that it's going to go in is a little bit different. You're not going to, you're not going to sew it. You're going to chemically bond it. But the cool thing about this is that it's straight. It's not an S curve. It's not as three-dimensional as the front entry zipper is, and it should be a little bit easier. But like I said, different process. Not even going to touch on that in this video. This was for basically the front entry DUI suits. I hope that helped. I honestly, this is me figuring out how they got this stuff in and out. How to get the zipper in. It's worked for me. This is not necessarily the right way to do it, but it worked for me. So do this with caution, and I take no responsibility for anyone screwing up their suits. Good luck with it, and like I said, if you have any questions or comments, feel free.